Hello and welcome, everybody. We should be live. Yay. Hopefully we are live and we are being seen and heard. So we'll just do a quick little introduction and wait for some people to join us. Today you are joining us for Growth Hacking, your B2B SaaS affiliate marketing program. And I'm super excited because I've actually got Emmett here with us. You can see him on our screen, and we're going to hand over to him in a minute when we go live and start this presentation. But if you're joining us and you are with us today live on this live stream, can you give us a high five, a hello? Head on over to the YouTube channel if you are watching this live stream on your LinkedIn, because you're not going to be able to ask questions. We live stream through LinkedIn and we live stream through YouTube, but we pick up questions on the YouTube chat. So if you want to ask questions, you want to get interactive with us, we love it. Excuse me. Let me just clear my throat. But we will only be able to get those questions from you on YouTube. So without further ado, welcome to Growth Hacking, your B2B SaaS affiliate marketing program. We are super excited to be here with you today. For those of you that don't know me a little bit, I'm going to explain a little bit about who I am and what I do. But before we begin, we're going to be kind of talking about everything that you need to know about growing a B2B SaaS affiliate program. And we've got the best expert here joining me today to talk you through some of those things. So we are going to be about 45 minutes. We're going to leave some time for questions. If things freeze, this is a live stream. So, you know, if things do go wrong, your browser might freeze up. If we look crazy on your screen, just press refresh and we'll come straight back on the stream that you're on. We will also post replays of this webinar, so if you have to drop out or you need to go somewhere, don't worry, you will be able to watch the full recording again. We will get that emailed through to you if you did subscribe to actually be here today. Hit the subscribe button on YouTube so you don't miss webinars. We do lots of educational webinars, one a month at least, and it's always good to keep up with what's happening in the industry and meet all of my lovely guests who come in and share all of their knowledge too. So really looking forward to getting started. Welcome everybody. Hopefully you're here. I'm seeing a couple of people on YouTube already. So if you can hear us and see us, give us a thumbs up just so that I can make sure that everything is streaming properly before we get into the nuts and bolts of what we're going to be talking about. But if you're joining us now, we're talking about SaaS affiliate programs, everything from challenges, insights, tips, tricks, tools, pretty much everything that you need to know about what is happening in the SaaS industry. And we've got a fantastic expert here with me today to help you talk through all of those things. So just a quick reminder, if you're joining us on LinkedIn, do come over to the YouTube channel because that's where we will be able to get questions and answers. So drop a note in the chat there. Tell us where you're from, what kind of SaaS tool program you're running, and we'll try and get really specific about what we're talking about. So without any further ado, we are really excited to be here with you. Remember to head on over to that YouTube channel if you want to ask questions. Drop us a little thumbs up if you can hear us. Thanks, Tammy. I can see you're on the chat there giving us a high five. Really great to have you guys here with us. And yeah, let's get started. So a little bit about who I am. My name's Leanne Johnston. I'm the founder of Affiverse. I've been in affiliate marketing for quite a long time, as you can see on that slide. But I absolutely love this industry. And one of the things that I'm very passionate about is helping other people to understand how to leverage performance marketing for their businesses across multiple different verticals. So it's very, very nice to have you all here with us today. And I'm really excited to get into this topic because it's something that is growing incredibly fast. The SaaS industry is just like motoring, and we'll talk about some of those numbers in a minute. But yeah, just really excited to be with you today. And a little bit about our company. Affiverse is a publishing media company. We're an agency, and we also run our own events and training programs. So if you want to learn a little bit more about me, you can go visit affiversemedia.com and you can find out what we do and how we can help businesses grow. But this isn't about me. It's actually about B2B SaaS. So my guest, Emmett, who is the CEO of Rewardful, has been patiently waiting to say hello and to tell you a little bit more about him. So thanks all for being here. Let's meet Emmett. Over to you. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Leanne. Yeah, so as Leanne said, my name is Emmett Gibney. I'm the CEO of Rewardful. Rewardful is a SaaS company that helps other SaaS companies set up affiliate programs. Mm-hmm. Most of our customers would be using Stripe, and I'd say Stripe is sort of far and away the leader for payment processing for SaaS companies. I won't go into too much of the technical detail, but we've been around since 2018. Our reason for coming into being was basically SaaS businesses that were trying to set up affiliate programs. There wasn't a lot of good tools out in the market for recurring billing and recurring commission generation for affiliate programs. And that was kind of the gap in the market that we came in to serve. Fast forward, I guess almost 7 years, and we've got somewhere around 2,600 customers. I would say it's mostly SaaS companies, and amongst the SaaS companies, it's mostly B2B SaaS companies. There are some B2C SaaS companies in there as well. Yeah, so that's a bit background about me, and a little bit of background about Rewardful.
All right, so let's get straight into it, because we've only got like 45 minutes of people's time, and we've got a lot to share with you today. I just want to say a quick hello to some of the people that are on YouTube, because we've got a lot of chatty Cathys here, which is great, because I love it when people interact with us. So hello, Eliada, Alara, Jim, Caitlin. You guys are all welcome. Thank you so much for being here today. Let's kick off with B2B SaaS, growth of the global market. As you can see, year on year, it's just astronomically, I mean, that graph just goes straight up, right? So why do you think this industry is growing so fast, and what is behind this growth?
It's a good question. Maybe there's two ways to kind of slice that. So there's, affiliate within SaaS and just SaaS in general. I think basically, up until, let's say, sort of the mid 2000s, most B2B software was, you're buying a CD-ROM at Best Buy or Curry's or wherever, and you're putting it into your computer, and it's all local on your, you're on your machine. And but B2B is all about collaboration, right? And so as sort of the shift to the cloud happened, it made it much more possible for all these applications to move to the cloud. That said, it's taken quite a long time. Like if I was to, go back in time to when this graph starts in 2015, I would have thought like, oh, there's this big opportunity here, and it's a big market. And actually, like it's grown 20 times in that time period. One thing I've noticed in the time that I've been in Rewardful and kind of just watching this space is it seemed like the SaaS industry was a bit slow to really pay attention to affiliate as a channel, right? So like if we rewind, like you're saying, you've been in the space for 25 years, basically affiliate marketing has been around as long as people have been transacting online effectively, right? But it feels like only in like the last 5+ years that SaaS, and particularly B2B SaaS, have started to get comfortable with like, oh, affiliate is a legit channel. And I think a lot of that is to do with the fact that there wasn't great tooling 10 years ago for recurring billing products, which most SaaS companies were. And like, there wasn't like great tools for just doing your billing for SaaS companies, right? Like Stripe, I think started maybe 2011 or 2012. That's pretty late into the history of sort of online commerce. And so I think SaaS wasn't really looking at affiliate because there wasn't particularly good tools for them. But then the incumbent vendors weren't looking at SaaS because the market wasn't that big yet compared to the rest of sort of e-commerce. And I think now that, SaaS is just, it's growing at an exponential rate. I imagine this curve will continue to go at this pace. We don't really have much content around this in our presentation today, but AI, I think, is just, it's clearly accelerating that. I think maybe in last spring, we had a sprinkling of AI companies, and now it's like maybe 30+% of our top 100 customers in terms of volume are AI SaaS companies. So it's even accelerating the pace at which B2B SaaS is growing. So I think it's definitely something that's going to continue at this pace for a while.
So what does a typical SaaS affiliate program look like? I mean, we talked about monthly recurring revenue, but how do SaaS programs structure compared to e-commerce? Because a lot of people joining us would be familiar about e-commerce affiliate marketing, but SaaS is very different for a number of reasons. And maybe you can go into like why the tools have only come into play now to enable that kind of tracking, and talk a little bit about the sales process.
Yeah, so obviously a big difference, and there's obviously exceptions to this, but a big difference between SaaS and let's say most e-commerce is it's the recurring billing model, right? So again, we rewind back to the day where you bought a CD of QuickBooks or something like that. You'd spend $80 to $100, you buy your CD, and it would probably last you a couple of years before you needed to like upgrade your version. But basically, you're just paying one time, and so most of the customer value was upfront, right? And so now they've kind of amortized the lifetime value of a customer over a monthly subscription. And so when you then want to partner with affiliate partners, you want to amortize your commissions that you're paying out. You will occasionally see some SaaS affiliate programs that will front load and do it like a one-time but upfront payment. And it's rare, but I think the situations where you see that, web hosting is a common example. I don't know exactly why. I would speculate it's because they've got a really solid understanding of their customer lifetime value. And so they can say, okay, we want to give a generous upfront commission because we know that economics will work in the long term. But most SaaS companies, they will do a recurring commission, and it'll be well, I actually have another slide. The next slide we'll get into details of that in a moment around the commission structure. But what I typically see in terms of the split is a healthy, mature affiliate program. It'll usually be between 10 and 15% of monthly recurring revenue. It can take a bit of time until it gets mature enough to get to that point. Like usually it'll take like 2 or 3 years before a program gets to the point where it's contributing that. There are exceptions. I can talk about it in a minute, but usually it's like a bit of a slow burn, and it'll get to about like 10 to 15% of your monthly recurring revenue. There are outliers. I think ConvertKit is kind of known for having a really successful affiliate program. I've seen talks that Nathan Barry gave where I think he said it was like 30 or 30+% of their monthly recurring revenue was coming from their affiliate program. And I think there are some verticals within B2B SaaS that'll perform better. And I think email marketing might be one of those ones.
Yeah. And I think it also depends on the vertical that your SaaS is in. Like if it's MarTech, if it's, business related services, whatever the case may be, that price range is just so diverse. And I think that's also like sort of contributed to the growth in the market, because price is very competitive in the SaaS space. And depending on the maturity level of your program, like you said, at the beginning, you might want to offer a price that's a little bit higher up front in order to attract those partners in, and then later move on to a kind of lower amortized kind of recurring revenue model as well. I think the other thing as well that's quite interesting about SaaS programs is that the way that they commission is very different to e-commerce. So it's not just on the sale, but it's on like an MQL, SQL. So for people that don't know what that is, there's like a marketing qualified lead where perhaps there's a sales process that needs to happen, which becomes in person. So there's a big tie-in, between like offline and online, and you need to be able to sort of track those leads and be able to commission them as well. So it's kind of this, it's not the same as e-commerce, but you do need to think about your strategy, your commercial strategy a little bit more upfront, and figure out where do you want to actually have those trigger points. Are you exciting affiliates to come in, or are you wanting to build longer term relationships and kind of lower the fees that you're giving? Now, the next slide is the slide that you did want to talk about, which I think is super interesting. So I'm going to hand over to you.
Yeah. So we're actually in the process of, Thomas from our team is in the process of putting together like a data deep dive across the programs in Rewardful. And I stole this graph from this that he's working on. And it basically, one of the things that we'll publish it and there'll be much more data, but one of the things that we looked at was what are the average commission rates depending on the size of the program. And so what we've seen is for the programs that are generating more than $1 million a year in revenue from their affiliate program, the average commission rate was 24.5%. And then on the other end of the spectrum, for the average for programs that were doing under $100,000 a year was 22.1%. So I know you look at those and you think it's not that big of a spread, but when you're aggregating this across like a big data set, that percentage it's saying something. The other thing that's worth noting is the spread, sort of basically the variability for those larger programs is smaller. So it tends to be closer to that around 25%. Whereas the smaller programs, it was a bit of kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
And I would say anecdotally, I would see this as well when I look at the rates that people are setting up. It's usually between 20 and 30%. I think one of the other things that's worth noting though is the duration that people are paying commissions, because it can be a big difference in terms of like the cost of acquiring that lead. But from an optics perspective, for a lot of affiliates, it might not be that big of a difference. So I usually see like either people will do perpetual commissions. So as long as the customer keeps paying, they'll keep paying commissions, or they'll cap it after 12 months.
Okay.
And obviously, the more generous you can be with your commissions and how long you're going to pay them for, the better incentivized your affiliates are going to be. The more likely they're going to want to be working with you.
Exactly.
But I've seen a lot of issues come up with people that set up perpetual commissions in their programs. The general advice I've been giving people now is, if you want to be more generous than 12 months, I would say, okay, maybe do 24 months. But just the idea of having any contract that doesn't have an end date, just in business, I think that's probably not advisable, because you can find yourself in a situation where maybe you want to transition the program or change things, but you're locked into this contract, and it can be kind of messy to negotiate your way out of that if you've got a lot of pending referrals from partners.
And also it's important because, SaaS tools, they don't really know what the tenure of their customer is going to be until they launch, right? And they need a little bit of data to figure out what is going to be best. But the other thing is that the strategy needs to suit the purpose for where you are right now. So
very good point.
I tend to, it's a very difficult question, this, and I know a lot of people are going to probably ask us questions, but it's kind of, how long is a piece of string? What do you want to achieve right now? What are your KPIs right now for this program in order to get partners to promote it and actually start giving you that data so that you can make informed decisions? Because you're right, every contract that you make with a partner needs to have some kind of end date, review date, whatever it is, because just the business itself might change, the way that customers engage might change. And ultimately, any affiliate program needs to be building a partnership that works for both parties, for the affiliate and for the business, because the business isn't making profit, the affiliate's not going to get paid anyway. So, for me, it's a really, really heavily loaded question that I don't think has a black and white answer. But the percentages that you're talking about now are actually a little bit higher than what I even thought. So I think this is like gold. It's really, really interesting information that you've been able to glean from, the 2,500 plus clients that you've got on your platform.
Yeah.
And nobody's sharing this data. Like, there's very little data. You have to go and do a competitive analysis against your nearest competitor to figure out what's the kind of ring fence rough margin that you can work with. Yeah. But every business is different as well. So, there might be other things that you can offer affiliates that, if you can't compensate with revenue to match like for like with your competitors, you can offer the product or, do other things that can help the affiliate to actually make more sales and convert better.
Yeah. Partner webinars, whatever, like kind of, helping them to be more successful than they otherwise would be is definitely a way you can kind of differentiate for sure.
Okay. So we've kind of looked at what the typical commissions are, but are all SaaS affiliate programs created equal? And I think that's kind of where we're heading, to say, no, they are not. But what in your experience?
Yeah. Well, so something you mentioned just there a moment ago that I think is a very good point, that it does depend on sort of the life cycle of the affiliate program. So like, in the early stages of an affiliate program, you might want to be exceptionally generous.
Aggressive. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it's important to be upfront with your partners to say, we're launching our program, and so we're starting with like a 50% commission or whatever, right? Like something like crazy. And it's like, we're going to do this for the first 6 months just because we want to get the ball rolling. And like you said, get the data, start learning what works well, get people incentivized. And then we're probably going to bring it down to something more reasonable, like 20 or 25% or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I think that totally makes sense, and it's all context dependent. So what I'm seeing, and maybe a caveat to add to this, is based on sort of our customer base within Rewardful, it would be a lot of self-serve, or what we call in our industry PLG, product-led growth startups. So I can put a credit card down. I don't need to talk to a
human.
salesperson. Right, exactly. So a highly transactional sales process. The high touch sales, like deep onboarding process, doesn't work very well with like a traditional sort of affiliate model, where it's like, I'm just going to pay on a CPA basis, like cost per acquisition. But you had mentioned there before, in those more sales process, they're leaning more towards like CPL, or cost per lead, where I'm submitting a lead, and marketing will determine whether they think it's a marketing qualified lead or whatever. That's a little bit outside of our wheelhouse in Rewardful. We're very focused on the PLG stuff. But I think a big thing too is like we were talking before about like the culture of the vertical that you're in.
Yes.
And so like the great example you gave there was MarTech, right? So like, I would say some of the best programs that I see and most successful within our customer base, it tends to be MarTech. Whether that's things like email newsletter type products, or obviously the generative AI stuff, where it's like you're creating a tool for businesses to create marketing materials. And I think, if you think about that, like it makes sense that an audience that is oriented around marketing and buying marketing tools are going to be comfortable with the idea of being an affiliate, right?
Yeah.
The other other end of the spectrum that I would talk about would be like, let's say I've got a SaaS tool that's for like accountants and lawyers and doctors or whatever. It's going to be difficult to build affiliate programs around that, because those people aren't hanging out online. They're not hanging out on LinkedIn or reading blogs, and so affiliate's not going to be a great channel for those, even though from a technical product perspective, it feels like they're the same product. The vertical and the culture of that vertical is very difficult, because there's not many digital natives. If doctors are hanging out online, it's probably on like Reddit or Instagram to like burn some time, not to shop for a tool, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So the way in which people buy within that vertical, I think, is going to have a big impact on whether or not affiliate program is going to be suitable for you. I think another thing worth noting is affiliate can be a challenging, it's not like that it won't work, but it can be a challenging first channel for startups. And I don't have a whole lot of experience really at all with e-commerce and affiliate. So you might have some input into here, but like, I would speculate that within e-commerce, you're generally putting out a product that like, or don't know whether people want to buy the thing, right?
Yeah.
Whereas in SaaS and in startups, oftentimes you're creating a new category.
Correct.
Right. And so you need to educate your customers on what is this thing that you've made, right? And so that can make it difficult to find affiliates that want to promote it, because like, how do they talk about this thing you've created? Unless you can kind of latch it on to, say, like AI as a wave, and you might have some subset of AI thing and you could ride that wave. But the big challenge for affiliates is if you don't have product market fit, which that'd be a big term within startups. It's like, do you have a product that the market is ready for?
Yeah.
If you don't have product market fit, your affiliates are going to be really frustrated. Like all affiliates really can do is send you traffic, and hopefully that traffic is qualified, like good quality traffic, right? But if you have a landing page that's got poor conversion rates, people churn at really high rates, no one wants to buy your product.
Your checkout process isn't optimized. Like
Exactly.
How many times have you tried to type in a credit card and you can't actually just buy this thing? That happens.
That's the challenge with startups, is all these problems can exist. And affiliates you're gonna come in, and maybe you can sell them on, it's an exciting new thing or whatever. And it's like,
or it's unique, or
and then they start sending you traffic, and it's like, none of this is converting because you haven't figured out your stuff yet, right? And so it can be challenging as a first channel for that reason.
And the other thing as well that we spoke about before we got on this webinar, which I think is super relevant to bring up right now, affiliate is not a set and forget channel for that specific reason. Affiliates need to be educated on the upsell, the benefit of the tool. So just launching an affiliate program isn't enough. And I know you've got thousands of clients on your platform. Like, what are some of the pieces of advice that you would give to an affiliate manager now who has recently set up an affiliate program? What are some of the things that you want them to focus on in the first 6 months as they kind of building scale?
So I tend to advise people to treat their affiliate program almost as like a product unto itself, or like having its own funnel.
Yeah.
And so you need like an entry point into that funnel. So I'll just kind of go through that, right? So the first step is, so many people will actually just skip this, which is actually kind of crazy, but actually have an actual landing page for your affiliate program that is trying to sell people on your affiliate program, tells them the information they need to have. This is how much we pay. Here's some testimonials from affiliates that are being successful, right? So having a landing page, a lot of people, they'll just link to the affiliate sign up form without giving the affiliate any information on what they need to get started.
What's your shop front, right? Why should I promote you versus the 50 million other SaaS products that I could go choose to promote? So really upselling the program. Totally agree. It's a really, really important step that often gets missed.
Yeah. And then there's all of the various different pieces of educational material and other things that you need to have ready to give to your affiliates. And and this is one of the reasons why I think it's difficult as a first channel, is the more successful programs I've seen, because they already have a mature marketing function and they have a lot of collateral just for selling their program in general. It's easy for them to tweak that collateral for an affiliate audience.
Yeah.
Or they have the mechanisms and operations in place to, we need to create content, but for a slightly different audience. Creating a resource page. So when someone signs up for your affiliate program, here's a resource page with, everything you need to successfully promote us, right? Here's some examples of existing affiliates of ours that are being successful and how they're promoting us. Here's a demo video that you can repurpose.
That's actually a good point, because a lot of SaaS tools don't actually have demo videos yet.
Yeah.
They have a nice looking landing page, but they don't actually show you what the platform does or give you an example or a tour or a lot. And I am a SaaSaholic. If there's a new tool on the market, I will download it, look at it, see if it can actually work for us and get efficient. And I noticed that just by looking into the SaaS industry, especially smaller, new to market products, there's a really good, if you're interested to go and look at tools, there's a very good tools, new products listing or whatever it's called, beta list. And I always look there and see, what new MarTech things are coming in. And often I'll find tools before they become mainstream. And a lot of them don't have videos. And education is really, really important in SaaS, because it's not like a piece of clothing. Everybody knows what it is and what it does. Whereas tech, you need that extra layer of content to actually make the customer understand what the benefits are. And the clearer you can make that for your affiliates when they enter on day one, the easier it is to help them to actually sell the product.
Yeah, definitely. And then the next thing in tandem with that would be to actually onboard and activate your affiliates. So set up an email autoresponder sequence for your affiliates. So after they sign up, You send them resources on, okay, here's where you can get resources, here's some tips, etc. Have a combination of pre-programmed emails that you send them, and then ad hoc emails like, okay, we're going to do a marketing push. You can kind of participate in this. It'll be, helpful if we're all kind of talking in the same way. And then when it comes to like recruiting affiliates, I'll always kind of talk about, there's two sort of channels or methods. I talk about like just like inbound affiliate recruitment and then outbound affiliate recruitment. So like inbound is like all the existing sort of traffic flow that you're already getting. How can you convert some of that into affiliates? And different products are better suited for that. So like products that have a free plan and a lot of free users, actually they'll tend to do better at recruiting affiliates than products that you have to pay to get started. And then, having like in your onboarding sequence for customers, have an email that says, oh, wait, by the way, we've got an affiliate program. In your email signature, et cetera, right? All these kind of passive places people could stumble across your affiliate program. Build that in for the inbound stuff. And then the outbound stuff, like we could, and we have, and I'm sure you have as well, done all sorts of deep webinars on outbound, but it's really about like understanding who your ideal customer is. And where are they hanging out online? And that gives you a sense of a profile for like an ideal affiliate. And like start doing research, and there's a lot of depth we could go into that space, but like actually going out and actively recruiting affiliates is something that most people don't even think that they should have to do. But that's how you're going to find your best partners, is actually actively going out and finding people who have a captive audience that maps to your ideal customer profile.
So I'm just going to quickly head over to the chat because we've got some comments coming in here. Lara, I do agree with you. Imagine a doctor watching a YouTube short for business purposes. That would be quite funny. Jim Banks has said, as an affiliate, I'm looking for unique codes and offers. So do SaaS programs, kind of from what you see from all the thousands that you work with, are they kind of looking at loyalty, cashback, reward type affiliates as well within their mix, or do they tend to go more for the kind of like review, product spec type content publishers? Like what's
it's definitely more the latter. And this we talked about this a little bit later in the presentation, but there is an almost allergic response to coupon back and that kind of stuff in affiliate. They're very very focused on incrementality. Right? Like they really want to know, like I would not have otherwise acquired this customer. So if someone was already on my website and they go to checkout and see I've got a coupon form, and now they go Google, let's say, for example, for rewardful coupon, and they find a coupon and they put like that, SaaS would be very sort of allergic to that. I think the use of coupons within SaaS affiliate programs is primarily for an attribution perspective. So what I mean by that is they'll use it because certain channels don't work well with link-based tracking. So if I want to work with, say, like someone who's got a YouTube channel, or someone's got a podcast, or someone who's working in a context where I don't have a link to really share, or can't share a link, they'll use coupons because it'll work. Of course, offline tracking, It's not like, and again, I'm speculating because I don't know e-commerce space that well, but in e-commerce, you'll have people that like, they'll be looking for a particular product, which might be available on multiple different sites, and they'll go with you because there was a coupon for this pair of sneakers or whatever. But in SaaS, it's like, it tends to be more like, no, you want to go with a particular product or not because it solves your needs. And so the coupon isn't what wins you the deal. And so there's a pretty strong aversion to, as an affiliate, like coupon sites. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the idiosyncrasies of affiliate programs in SaaS, because they are kind of unique. I mean, a lot of the clients that we work with, they have very specific ideas. And I think some of the skill sets that you need in order to actually, do B2B affiliate marketing and SaaS marketing is very different to e-commerce. So let's talk a little bit about the idiosyncrasies that you've seen working with all of these thousands of clients. Yeah. So the coupon one is definitely one of those that they're definitely opposed to that. I think the other thing I would say, depending on the type of SaaS business you're working with and sort of the scale they're operating at, SaaS is an interesting space where you can have some businesses that are quite small in terms of like headcount, but have like outsized success, like 3 or 4 people that are making millions and millions in revenue, with very high margins. And on the other end of the spectrum, you might have like fairly established, maybe venture-backed or quite successful large businesses that have big headcounts. And with that, they have a more sophisticated marketing function. And even if they don't have in-house affiliate experience, having a sophisticated marketing function allows them to execute on things in a way that smaller teams wouldn't. But as a result of that, you'll find in like these smaller companies that scale quite well, the founders tend to be technical first. And maybe not commercially focused. So they've built a really good product that has just somehow blown up.
Mushroomed,
But yeah, they might be, not super sophisticated. And with that comes certain, knowledge gaps in terms of like what would just kind of make sense, in building out like a funnel and landing pages and things like this for your program. So that's definitely something I've seen a lot of.
The other thing as well is that they're not sales oriented. Like there's a very different mindset for a founder developer and how they perceive their product and how they want their product to be used by the end user, by the customer. And then a marketer who would look at the product and figure out how do I actually tell the story behind the product and get the customer engagement. And then the affiliate manager who has to go and like sell the program and all the benefits of the program to get an affiliate listed in and actually start marketing. And each of those mindsets, which would probably make up the small team that's there at the launch phase, they're all going to have a different pull in a different direction of how they want to do stuff. So getting them all to kind of meld together and agree on what the strategy is can also be a little bit difficult sometimes.
Yeah, definitely can be a challenge. Related to that, again, this is more on kind of like the smaller teams. I think like particularly the technical SaaS founders, they're going to skew towards introversion. So relationship management, it's not something they're going to be, prioritizing and putting a lot of time into. In some cases, SaaS companies, they'll reach a scale like where they will have a partnership manager to manage their affiliate programs and other partnership relationships. But yeah, sometimes, like I said, you could have a company that's like hit some like crazy. We see it sometimes where it's like these guys are doing crazy numbers and they're like 5 people or something. And
that's because the product is good. So that is actually something that can happen, but that's only going to take you so far. So there's an initial rush. There's, interest in a product if it does some, especially in the MarTech space, if it does something really interesting. But that methodology cannot be carried through forever. It eventually starts to peter off and has a life cycle phase. I just want to quickly pop onto the chat because we've got a lot of people chatting with us here. So if you don't mind, there's a couple of questions coming over from our LinkedIn channel. Just remember, if you're watching us on LinkedIn, you need to hop over to the YouTube channel to actually ask your question. But one of my team has popped in a couple of questions here. So is there any info on commissions by industry or sector? So like do SaaS programs in the MarTech industry pay more than SaaS programs in maybe business services, for example?
Anecdotally, I would say yes.
Okay.
And I think so I'm just thinking like, I won't name them, but there's one customer I'm thinking in particular. They're the MarTech company, email marketing tool, and they pay 50%, but for the first 12 months. And I'm speculating, but I would imagine the reason they do that is because they know what their customer lifetime value is. It's probably much longer than 12 months.
And it's a tool that you're not going to like swap out very quickly because it's, data linked. It's a onerous task. Whereas if you've got like a video tool, for example, I mean, you might use it for a little bit and then stop using it. And then you might come back again. And then, so it really does depend on, I think, the type of product or SaaS product that you've got.
A good example of that would be like, a webinar tool, right? So like we've gone through a couple different ones and you go through maybe ebbs and flows of, you're quite prolific, but a lot of people, they go through ebbs and flows of when they might use the tool. So they might be swapping quite frequently.
Yeah.
So for them, they've got to really, like, their customer acquisition cost, they've really got to get it dialed in. So like, they don't want to give too big of a commission.
Yeah.
But yeah, you would definitely see some differences. I think MarTech is a good example where they'll pay more, but try and front load it in some way. Like I said, 50%, but it's for the first 12 months, and then it kind of falls off.
Okay. Another question that's come in here is, would you suggest to include more incentives plus? So for example, because in e-commerce, like, promos are a big thing. Like, every month there's a new promo on top of the standard commission rate. Or do you find that it's more linear across SaaS programs where you've got the basic commission, and only if you're doing massive volumes will they then kind of negotiate different deals for you? Or do they do a lot of like Black Friday offers and try and tie into the e-commerce side as well, or different seasonal events as well?
So for the seasonal event stuff, I think B2B is less inclined to do that kind of stuff. We have some B2C stuff, and so you'll see a bit more of that in B2C than in B2B. Yeah, because people are more emotionally driven in kind of B2C than B2B.
Okay.
In terms of like different promotional offers or different tiers, bonuses or that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You'll see some of that kind of stuff. But I think it comes down to the scale of your organization and your ability to execute on a program.
Yeah.
And so for smaller companies, I would typically advise to keep it as simple as possible, because you might not really have the capacity to manage the program.
Yeah.
Or if you want to do something that's more complex, work with an agency like Leanne's, and they can,
Thank you.
but like seriously though, like, because they they'll be able to like advise on what's the best practice and that kind of thing. But also, like, if you're a small SaaS company, like one of these people, your product is blown up, and it's like, okay, I'm looking for new channels. I'm going to go to affiliate. And it's like, okay, I don't know the channel that well. I'm more technical than marketing. I'm just going to hire someone who's going to like scale it up for me. And like, because focus is so important when you have a small team.
Totally.
And then doing all these complicated, convoluted offers, I would say don't do it unless you've got someone dedicated that can manage it. Just keep it simple and pay well.
Yeah, I love that, Kiss. Especially for SaaS programs that are starting out, you don't have to be working with every type of affiliate on day one. You can slowly ease into the program and work with affiliates that have the right customer profiles first. Like, there's no rule book that says you need to go out and recruit 1,000 affiliates to make your program successful. That's not what affiliate is about. It's about finding the right partners and the right traffic sources. Now we're getting a few more questions here, so I'm going to just bank those questions for a minute and let's just move on with our presentation. But many SaaS businesses hit decent scale with small teams, which is what we've discussed, and founders often run their own affiliate programs. Now with that comes a whole host of problems, because they're obviously product led and they're not relationship led. So what sort of advice do you give to programs that have maybe started and have plateaued, because that can happen? Like, they might have a little early run, as we said, because the product is great. But what would you say that they should be doing, after they've built their onboarding process, after their program is starting to like mature? Do they then go down the route of opening up to things like influencers and doing B2B partnerships and bringing those other more complex deals into the program?
Yeah, so we'll see. Pardon me. I actually had someone recently come to me on LinkedIn. Our program is starting to kind of, slow down, and what can we do? And
yeah.
So I think there's two problems going to happen when you kind of, let your hand off the wheel a little bit. One is your program kind of starts to plateau. The other is kind of mismanagement stuff that can come up. And I think on the scaling thing, yeah. So like, if you can find other kind of, if you think about it like a oil drilling sort of scenario, you're trying to find different pockets of oil, right? Like,
yeah.
And yeah, some of that might be, let's say, like, you're going to go and do all the review sites. Try to find as many review sites as you can that are talking about your particular space, right? I often advise, like, pair your affiliate recruitment with your backlink building And
Yes,
so
very good advice.
go
Yeah.
and look at like all the review sites that go like top 10 XYZ tools or whatever, right? And find one in your space and, you know, reach out to them and try and get them become affiliates, right?
Yeah.
So there's that, like the more traditional kind of affiliates. And then, yeah, there's other types of programs that you could try and put together that are more kind of like partnership, but have an affiliate component to it. We do that. We have integration partners. We have integrations with these people, and they'll send us customers. And because it's kind of a complementary business,
Yeah.
you know, I made an introduction to two customers of ours. They were in the AI space, MarTech, but complementary or like non-directly competitive. So you could see like, oh, their customers would also be their customers. So like they should talk to each other and share affiliates basically, because it's a complementary product, but not competitive. So there's other pockets like that you could do as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think using customer advocacy, when you're starting to see your program plateau, if you have the kind of tool that your affiliate would also be your customer, start looking at advocacy programs as well, and bringing your existing customers into your affiliate program and incentivizing them to refer others. Obviously, that's very dependent on the type of product that you're kind of managing. But I think that's important. And the other thing to start looking at when you start seeing your program plateau is looking at profit margins. So actually looking at what traffic is valuable, what traffic isn't valuable over the longer term. And then kind of weeding out anything that might look fraudulent, because it's not often easy when you're scaling fast to estimate what is actually good quality traffic, because the sales happening up front, depending on how the remuneration and the sales process works. But start to look at like, is all the traffic that you're getting good quality traffic, and weeding out that fraud, and then going back to basics again. So those are some of the suggestions that I would make as well. But also in terms of like the art of getting affiliates to love your SaaS program, I think we've covered quite a lot of that in terms of like, how to set up the structure, how to make sure that the onboarding sequence is really good. But also I think one thing that affiliate managers tend to forget is, because they're so busy running the program and they're busy trying to onboard and recruit and find new traffic sources, they don't stop to ask affiliates, what can I do for you? Which is actually the most common thing. And often affiliates have to work across multiple platforms. So having a platform like Rewardful, which is super easy to work, and I've actually looked at the platform myself, it does help affiliates when you make their process and their life a lot simpler. So in terms of Rewardful, how can affiliate managers kind of leverage the tech to make their affiliates' life a little bit easier? What are some of the things that you guys do to make it really simple for affiliates to get in and get started?
So it's a couple different things. So, and this is kind of back to your point around like, what type of program are you running? Is it customer advocacy or a classical affiliate program? And we have, those would be kind of like the two most common types of programs we would see within our customer base. So for affiliate programs, we give like an affiliate dashboard. People can kind of come in, they can get their links, see their performance, etc. But then also making sure like in there, you're putting whatever sort of direction and education as you can. So like there's space in there where you can go and have links to different resources that you've created. I always advise like create like a central resource hub for your affiliates. And yeah, make sure you're actually sharing that information within the dashboard there for them. We have integrations with different email marketing tools for creating like onboarding email systems for your affiliates. So like ConvertKit, for example, is one of the platforms we have an integration with. MailerLite, other ones like that. So like create these sequences to help educate and onboard them. And then on the customer advocacy side, the best thing I've seen people do is like with Rewardful, this is for our more technical users. You can build your own dashboard right into your product. And so for customer advocacy, if I've signed up for your tool, I don't want to have to, if I'm your customer, I don't want to have to then sign up for another tool to keep track of my referrals. So you can actually build that dashboard into your
the actual
product.
platform. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you can pull in like, okay, here's your link, here's your stats, how much you've earned. We've got documentation on like how you can integrate it in with Stripe to like just give them a credit as opposed to like a reward, right? Like I might not care about like, oh, you're going to send me $50 or something. You give me a free month or something like that. Like, it's so on the customer advocacy side, it's about like make it invisible, right? Like it's
frictionless.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because customers, especially when they are using tech, they want to have a frictionless experience in order to just make a referral, because otherwise it's too much hassle and there's a barrier to entry. So I think that's a great USP that you've got there. And it's easy to integrate. Like you don't need heavy tech. Is it like API based or widget based?
Yeah. So it's, we've got a whole host of different options for integration. So, and some of the integration partners we have, it's like a 2-click kind of process. And then if you've built your own kind of custom SaaS application, it really comes down to like how you want to implement it in your tech stack. It could be as simple as like maybe it takes 30 minutes to a couple hours if you're trying to do something more robust.
Yeah.
And then obviously if like you're building in your own custom dashboard, that's, it's as, complicated as you want it to be depending on, but we've got different tutorials and help articles on how to get started with a variety of different tech stacks and integrations. So
let's recap some of the growth hacks here for SaaS programs. I think one of the big ones that you mentioned was kind of, getting that outreach sequence and that onboarding sequence and educational prospect very, very tight at the start of the program. I think, using tools to figure out what publishers and what types of affiliates in the discovery phase when you're launching your program, and not being averse to kind of looking at other partner types later on in the program, but in the early stages, like stick to the core. I thought that was really interesting. Tracking, obviously getting that right, whether you what are you tracking and how are you tracking it and what is the methodology behind that. And I think tracking is probably one of the biggest things that we talk about in affiliate marketing, and getting that right first time to give affiliates a great experience. I spoke a little bit about fraud, but I think also getting your strategy right. I think that was a key theme that you mentioned throughout this, that affiliate isn't a set and forget channel, and it does require a lot of skill and expertise. And I think the point that I want to make to SaaS product owners who are looking to launch affiliate programs is ask an expert if you don't have the experience in-house, because you could be lucky and launch your program and have a whole bunch of sales because your tool is that great. But you could also not be that lucky because there's a lot of competition in the marketplace, as we saw in that first slide, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down. So if your product isn't uber strong or uber unique, you can't just launch it and set it and forget it, because affiliate does take relationship building, and it does take a very clear strategy in terms of how it's going to work with all of the other channels that you're working in. We've got a question here from Alara, who's live with us. So thank you, Alara, for popping that question in. It's a very good one. How to convince an influencer to join an affiliate program without the pre-costs. Now, I mean, that is like how long is a piece of string? We could have a whole other webinar just on that. But if you want to reach out to me, I can give you some advice on how to manage that and when to manage that in your program. Because I think, if you're looking at influencers, you're obviously at a certain life cycle or life stage for your program. And, maybe even Emma can share some advice on how to handle commercials from the data that you're busy putting together. So maybe be sure to watch their newsletter and sign up to the Reward Full newsletter so you can get that data piece when it comes out, because I think I'm certainly going to be looking forward to downloading it as well. But I think that was the kind of recap of everything that we sort of spoke today, unless you want to add anything else in there.
No, yeah, I think that's a great recap. Maybe one, Adam, I don't know if this is the time in terms of takeaways. If people want to, again, sign up for we've got our newsletter, go to our website. And we've also got a free course. It's probably more on the introductory side.
Yeah.
Go to academy.rewardful.com. Free course. We don't charge anything for it.
Yeah.
Very much focused on SaaS and affiliate as opposed to customer referral. A couple hours worth of content in there. And that also kind of signs you up into the newsletter as well. So academy.rewardful.com.
Amazing. And I want to give you guys just 3 things to take away from today. Make sure that you're getting your tracking right and working with a partner who understands how to actually track your leads and your MQL, SQL, as they say in the SaaS industry. Ask for help if you want to scale, both from your tech stack partner and also from an agency if you feel you need that. And then survey your affiliates and ask them what you need to do better, because we forget to do that. And it's a really simple thing. And it doesn't cost you any money to ask your affiliates what you're doing right and what you can improve for them. And I think some of the affiliates that were on this have actually given a few things, like just in the chat, I'm just having a look. One of them said, they'd really like to work on Discord or WhatsApp channels. So really get your communication strategy clear with affiliates, because I think SaaS savvy people that don't want to, many of them don't live on email. They live on WhatsApp, they live on Skype, they live on, Discord, Telegram, whatever the case may be. So just think about how you're communicating with those affiliates too. Now, we've taken up almost an hour of your lives. So Emma, I want to thank you so much for being on this webinar with me today. It has been really, really interesting looking and listening to some of those numbers and some of the things that you're seeing from, quite a large proportion of customers that are working through Rewardful. And it's really a pleasure to share that data with our audience as well, because it's super helpful. But if you stayed, I actually forgot to mention that there were freebies, but there's a really nice download for you here. So if you're watching the webinar, you can use that QR code to download the Ultimate Affiliate Management Software Buyer's Guide, or get in touch with Emmett as well and sign up to their newsletter. It's been a real pleasure to have you on here, and super interesting to hear some of the stats that you shared with our audience today. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Leanne. I appreciate having me on today. Brilliant.
All right, guys, that wraps it up for today. Thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you again soon. And just a quick note from me, there's still some time to join us on our next AMP course and program. So if you want to find out more about the Affiliate Management Performance Program, you can head on over to Appaverse Media and find out about my 12-week coaching session for affiliate program managers. Doesn't matter what industry you're working in. We work with you for 12 weeks to help you grow your affiliate program one-on-one. And really looking forward to welcoming you guys there. So thank you so much for joining us today on this webinar and being part of this chat. Loved interacting with you guys on the YouTube chat. And if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to DM both myself and Emmett. We're both on LinkedIn, and really great to have you here with us today. So thank you so much.
Thank you.